So first, thank you, Nuno. Thanks, Pipedrive, for the invitation. I'm going to talk about continuously delivering from a different perspective than Jean, and I'm glad that Jean did that presentation because I think we can complement each other with different dimensions of this problem. So I'm not talking much about Talkdesk. I'm talking about our approach to a big challenge that we have, which is we have 300 engineers today. We doubled in the last 12 to 14 months. Okay, so it's a huge challenge, and we will do the same in the next period. Okay, our goal is to have 1,000 engineers. It's like a big round number that we have, and it's a long-term perspective. But this brings huge challenges to how can we keep the teams focused on delivering our product features while onboarding so many new people from different cultures to different teams. How can we do that? And that is my main goal with this presentation. It is how some thoughts on how we can do this while keeping our culture and having everyone on the same page regarding company's vision, company's goals, etc. So it's quite hard. It's quite different from any presentation I did before. This is the first time that I'm presenting this, and I'm a believer in continuous improvement. So help me with feedback after this, because it's a very big challenge that we have, and it's a challenge that many companies in Lisbon have today. So first of all, just a bit of management 101. You have different experiences, but many of us already saw at least two of these types of management styles. On one side of the spectrum, we have a very directive company or manager which tells you exactly how you need to develop something, which technologies you should use, and how to use them. And on the other side, you have someone or some organization that allows people to participate, to engage, to be part of the solution, to be part of the decisions. And I'm here to say that there's no right style. Many of us believe that the right style is the right one. It's not. It depends on the project, on the challenge that you have in place. Imagine that you have like 4 weeks to deliver a project, and you are a manager, and you are given 2 young developers that only worked with C#, and they have like 6 months of experience to do that. You have 4 weeks to deliver. You cannot allow yourself to gather the team and say, yeah, let's choose a different technology. Let's waste or invest 2 weeks of our time doing spikes and proof of concepts, trying to understand the best solution. No, if you have that kind of project, probably you need to have a strong opinion on how you need to deliver that in 4 weeks, which technology and which approach you need to use. I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on that one. That one is where most of us are living today, which is fast-growing companies delivering product with a long-term vision. Okay, that's where I'm going to focus our presentation, and that's what I like to do on a daily basis. So I have 4 different pillars to ensure that, or to help us keeping continuously delivering in a growing company. One is vision, and I'm going to deep dive a bit in one, on each of those pillars. Vision, skill sets, or the environment, and I'll explain a bit what I mean by that, and action. Okay, starting with vision. Vision, it's a common topic, and I split these in 4 different things. One is, what is the purpose of the organization as part of the vision? What are the whats of that organization? And I'll explain that again in a minute. What is the why of this vision? And How can we communicate this vision? Going step by step, imagine that you want to develop a bag. A company, your company says, our goal is to develop a bag, and you start asking questions. What type of bag is it? Is it a suitcase? Is this something for travel? Is this something for grocery store? What is it? And this is the type of questions that we can ask. It's what it will carry, what is the size, what are the materials, what is the timeline to develop that. And this is something that our engineering minds usually think about, is on the what's. Besides that, we need to have a why. Why is for me more important than the what, but usually more difficult to explain. But that it's something that even if we don't ask, the company or the organization should have it clear. So why are we designing a bag? Why is the bag the organization's vision? Why are we doing this? And we can ask many of those questions. Again, not all of us ask the same questions, but the company needs to have answers to all of that, and they need to communicate it. Communication could be 1 hour discussion or 1 hour presentation just about communication. I'm going just to present an idea, which is the Conway's law. If you don't read it about it, you read it. It's something very simple. It says that the organization that designs systems are constrained to produce designs that are copies of the communication structures of those organizations. And you can see that if you think about things like, are we organized in vertical teams or horizontal teams, that will have consequences on the product itself. Okay, we can think about that only after the product is developed, after the product is delivered. But if we can think ahead, we can try to organize ourselves better to fulfill that vision. This is kind of a joke about how big companies organize themselves, but you can see that there's some truth in it. So Apple was quite centered in Steve Jobs, for example. Microsoft a few years ago had departments with different directions. Google tries to communicate everything to everyone. It can be challenging, and so on and so on. Oracle is more concerned about legal than other things. But this is just a joke, but this affects the product. This affects the delivery, which is the problem that we are trying to tackle. The second pillar is skills, and skills, again, very high level. We need a common skill set to deliver the product vision, okay, the company's vision. But we don't need to have people that are good at everything. We don't need like semi-gods that knows everything, and every company has some of those. We need the group to be good at everything. So we need complementary skills, which I don't think we are that good at doing this. Typically, we value people that know a lot about everything, which is quite rare. We need to focus on having a team that knows a lot about what's needed. Also, this is something I read. Usually I'm not the smartest people in the room. I'm for sure not the smartest here in this room. And I'm glad about that, because being the smartest, and I mean either myself as a person or my team as a team, is something that doesn't give much room to grow. So I'm glad that we are not the smartest, and we need to surround ourselves with smarter people than us. Also, something that's really important with the skill set is that the goals of a company is a moving target, because the world keeps spinning. You define something at 2016, in 2019, the world has moved. So we need to adapt ourselves. Maybe the skill set that we need is different, and maybe we need to adapt ourselves. I'm not saying that I'm a Java developer and I need to be now a Scala developer or Erlanger developer. I'm not saying that. We can specialize ourselves as a group. We need to be aware that things change. Third pillar, the environment. This is a big one. Again, just roughing the surface. For long-term organizations, we need people that have the basic needs. And if you look at this as like a security pyramid, I'm talking about you need a laptop that works. You need a table. You need a good working environment. But we need more than that, and it's different for every organization. But it's need. We need to ensure that that exists for each organization's reality, so that we can continuously delivering. We need to shield the teams from unplanned work. That's something we are learning at Talkdesk to be good at, because there's always a customer that needs something that we don't have, and that's to win the deal, we need to do something more. I'm not saying that we can say no to every unplanned work. I'm saying that we need to shield the teams from that as much as possible. For example, plan for unplanned work. Allocate some capacity for unplanned work. Stuff like that, again, different from organization to organization. And a good balance between what's important and what's urgent. That's a big discussion on a daily basis. I'm going to tackle this because it's the important stuff in the long run, or I'm going to tackle that because that's the urgent thing for today. We do that every day in a meeting. I'm going to that meeting or to the other one when we have conflicting meetings. So we need to find a balance, but this is something that we need to have on the back of our minds when we make decisions on a daily basis. Again, this is quite standard, but we need training and formation to acquire the skills needed. We cannot expect the people themselves to do that proactively every time, which we are good at, but we need the company, the organization to ensure that. Last but not least, the feedback. So we have opinions about our own work, our team's work, but we need feedback from everyone around us. Actually, Nuno was the first one to introduce 360 feedback at my previous company, and that's something that has proven to be really valuable. The more feedback we have, the more we can improve. The last one, action. There's 3 steps to make someone move, okay, in general. One is you are not satisfied with the current state. The second is you have a vision of the better state where you want to be. And this is true in our organization as in our lives. And final, you need to have a path to get there. Okay, either you find one yourself or you have an organization that gives you a path to go to a better state. And this is what makes people move. So in order to fulfill the organization's vision, we need, so based on the three steps that I mentioned before, we need to define clearly the objectives. We need to create a path to meet those objectives. And I mean this collaboratively. I'm not meaning this by top-down approach. We need to split the responsibilities in different teams and roles. This is more important in large organizations. This is important in a team of 6 people, but imagine in a team of 700 engineers. We need clearly to split responsibilities, and that needs to be clear, and walk it. We need to go through this defined path, never forgetting that things change, that we need to constantly be evaluating ourselves, and in an iterative way. That's, for me, it's the plan for action. Last, I've already mentioned this, it's always a moving target. We are always going in a direction that can move, okay? Target can move, and we need to be aware of that. We cannot say that I don't care what's going on in the world in these 2 years, I will stick with my direction. Many companies failed because of it. So we need to be constantly evaluating, where are we going to? Why are we still going in that direction? If it still makes sense, I don't mind change the path or the objectives in the middle of the run. So now Talkdesk, a bit of Talkdesk. I need to put a slide about Talkdesk, how we do it. And this, some of this is not true for everything. Okay, again, we have like 30 engineering teams. So I'm not saying that every single team works this way, but what we try to do is have vertical teams. By vertical, I mean kind of feature teams, okay, with a clear product responsibility, with horizontal guilds. And by that, I mean that if you have a QA inside each team, we need to have common practices as much as possible. So we need someone to lead kind of this horizontal guild. The pillars that I believe are quite important for this one is communication. The guilds help a lot in that, and the skill set. We have clear responsibilities and roles. This is self-explanatory. We have our product team constantly in sync with the engineering team. This is quite important because we are a product. We are developed like Pipedrive. We are developing a product. And we need to be constantly communicating with both departments. We need to have a roadmap, ideally more than 1 year, but if we have 1 year of roadmap, and by roadmap I mean like almost wishful thinking, we want to be in that state 1 year from now, and with clear goals to achieve that. How can we achieve that? How, if the Talkdesk product I envision for the next 12 months is that, how can I achieve that? And that needs to be clear to every team. So clear visibility on current state, and again, constantly be reevaluating ourselves, our teams, even our goals. The teams are itself part of the product definition discussion, and by that I mean engineering teams are discussing with product managers what is the next steps, why should we address that. Also part of the recruitment process, the prioritization. So I would say everything we try to put people responsible for things that are outside of the job description. Some final thoughts on that. Self-evaluation is really important. I do truly believe in continuous improvement, and we cannot have continuous improvement without self-evaluating what we are doing. There's always space for improvement. Again, we are lucky in our area. We know from our friends, our families, that other areas are not as edgy as ours in terms of culture. That said, there's still room for improvement. So we need to be constantly trying to understand where we can improve our team ourselves. There's lots of things to learn in the process. So this is a process. Dashlane is at a process moving to that continuous delivery pipeline. Pipedrive certainly has worked in different ways than they work today. The same is true for Talkdesk. So we are constantly learning and adapting, and every organization is different. We have lots of things to learn in the process. If we cannot do what I mentioned before, if this makes sense at all, at an organization level, because it's too big, we still should try to do it at our team level, at our tribe level, at our cluster level. Eventually, we can influence others to do the same. Last but not least, there are no silver bullets. So even what I just said will be iterated by myself. There are no rules that fit you all. We need to understand what fits our organization. And now, yes, we have 4 values at Talkdesk. One is enjoy the ride. I say enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. It doesn't make sense to do all of this if we don't have some fun doing it. So I hope all of you see this lightly as something good. That's it. Thank you.